And today we're going to start to make some changes that will help you start to feel better. But before we look at those, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what our strategy is going to be. So there are two things that influence how we feel: our thoughts and our behaviour. So when we're feeling depressed, those feelings will be very influenced by the way that we're thinking about things and also what we're doing. Now, our feelings in turn have a big impact on the way that we think about things and what we do. So you can see that these three elements of our experience, our thoughts, feelings and behaviours, are very interconnected. So it's quite easy to get caught in a negative spiral and get stuck there. And this is why depression can sometimes be so difficult to shake off. However, we can use these interconnections to work for us. If we make small changes at each of these points, we can create a different spiral that takes us back up into a more positive, calm and constructive place. So that's what our plan is going to be. We're going to make small changes at each of these points, and over time these changes will gather momentum and lead to bigger, longer lasting changes, kind of like a snowball rolling down a hill. So we're going to start today looking here at what we do. Now, when you become depressed, your attitude towards yourself becomes very, very negative. You tend to treat yourself really quite badly. There's this idea that, you maybe don't deserve anything more. And so it can be quite common when you're feeling depressed to stop looking after yourself. You maybe stop eating properly, you possibly drink a little bit too much. Maybe your basic self-care routines slip. And this can happen quite gradually without you really noticing it, because this attitude towards yourself, this way of treating yourself, really, really fits with how you feel. So we're looking here, I guess, at this connection here and this connection here. So when you feel depressed, your behaviour towards yourself changes, and this behaviour, treating yourself in this way, reinforces your feelings. Okay, so making changes here is quite difficult because how you're behaving fits with how you're feeling. So we're going to have to take a very gentle, gradual approach here and be quite patient with ourselves. Now, if your self-care routines haven't slipped yet, bear with me, I'm going to tell you what to do in a minute. But if they have, make a list. Make a list of all the things you know you should be doing but that you're not doing, and then rank them in order of how challenging you think it will be to reintroduce them. And then gradually reintroduce them one at a time, not introducing another one until the last one is really well in place. Then, when your basic self-care is back up and running, I want you to make a second list. A list of nice things you can do for yourself, little treats, little ways of pampering yourself, of nurturing yourself. And if your basic self-care hasn't slipped, this is where you start. Making small, steady changes here over time is really going to help you. So what you want to do is gradually reintroduce or introduce these treats. Now, it may well be that this list is quite hard to make because possibly you've never treated yourself well. So it's hard to kind of come up with ideas about things to do. So you might have to experiment here a little bit and find out what you like doing. Maybe look to other people and see what they're doing to get some ideas. Scatter these treats through your week. At first, it might feel quite uncomfortable, but I want you to behave as if you deserve these things, almost as if you're performing in a play. And the good feeling will follow over time. One of your biggest obstacles, as I've kind of hinted at, to all of these changes is this very self-critical internal voice that says you don't deserve these things, that says you're indulging yourself, that you're being a bit selfish. I'm going to show you how to tackle this part of you in a few weeks' time. But for now, just try and put one foot in front of the other, however uncomfortable it is, and try and introduce these treats. Okay, so hopefully, if you've been watching the last video, if you watched the last video, you've been monitoring your mood over the last week or so. Remember to keep going with this. It's really important. At the end of every day, when you're brushing your teeth, just take a note of the strength of your depression over the course of the day. keeping in mind that improvements are going to be very slow and gradual. You're not just going to wake up one morning and feel amazing. What you'll notice is that those bad periods will be less frequent and less intense, and the good periods will be more noticeable and last longer. The shift in your scores, therefore, will be really quite gradual, and it's quite likely that you've not noticed anything yet because we've not really done anything. Okay, so next week we're going to look at another way of influencing how you feel by changing your behaviour. But for now, I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.